Welcome back to First Place. You are here with another episode of In the Driver's Seat, and today I have a special guest with me. She is a creative director, an experienced designer, and a visual artist here in the Bay Area. Hanna, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start with your opening and the background. Growing up in San Francisco, how did growing up in SF shape your perspective as like an artist?
That's a great question. I think growing up in SF, you're exposed to a lot of different cultures and a lot of different peoples. I actually grew up around mostly Cantonese kids up until I was 14. And then when I went to this high school that's an arts high school, I was there for visual arts. That was my discipline. That's when my world just blew open because I started watching YouTubers who would do fashion content and listening to more alternative music like Crystal Castles and like Tame Impala, and American Apparel disco pants were my uniform. So being able to go to a high school like that where everybody has their own creative practice, it wasn't always personal for people, but just being in that environment, I think you were encouraged to actually want to stand out or do something different. And it's not that I wanted to stand out, but I always felt bored with doing things that other high school kids were doing that I was seeing. So I think for that reason, just having access to even other programs, art programs and stuff, is helpful.
Were there any key moments in your beginning stages of an artist that you remember?
As a kid or in my career?
You know what? Let's do both.
Okay.
As a kid and then career.
As a kid, my first drawing teacher, her name was Mrs. Cherry, which is also my mom's name. So they kind of shared that, being Asian immigrant women and having the same English name. She was pretty disciplinary, but she would also play favorites. So she would make food for us as she would tell us how our drawings were not it. But yeah, that helped a lot. And as far as career goes, I would say the most impactful experience so far was probably the first time that I pitched an idea to somebody and they said yes.
The early moments of your career, were there any inspirations behind what you were doing?
Yeah, okay. As far as career goes, I think an inspiration for me was we're mostly Asian artists, Ai Weiwei. He did a documentary film about refugees, and I think just someone pushing their limits, their physical limits and their emotional limits, that was really inspiring. Another person is Pharrell, because he has his hands in every craft. He's released skincare, he makes music, he does fashion. And I'd like to have access to that too, just access to every industry.
So Pharrell, I feel he's one of my inspirations too. So I
Why is that?
Completely understand that. Well, I think it's along the same lines as you. He just does so much, and he succeeds in every aspect. I don't know what it is about him, but yeah, and he skateboards. What? Skateboard P? Come
Yeah.
on. His personality and his style and his fashion and then the music as well. I don't know, it shaped a lot of what I kind of turned into, just being inspired by that. So that's why for me. But
Oh.
how have your parents' stories maybe influenced your artistic expression?
I love this question. I might ramble a little bit for this one.
Go ahead.
Actually, the way that they inspire me as individuals, they're kind of contradictory to each other. My dad was an entrepreneur for all of his life because he was orphaned by the Chinese Cultural Revolution. He's really old. And I think he was a really courageous person in terms of his career. And whenever he was interested in something, he set out to do it.
Yeah.
He opened up a bakery. He opened up a nursery school. He did Chinese paintings, So I think just seeing him create something out of nothing and being really scrappy, that's always been like a value that I hold close even before I could actually recognize or articulate that. And with my mom, she used to model just for fun, and she was like such a beautiful woman. But she gave up her life to raise like me and my brother, you know, and to take care of my dad as well. So actually, like, a lot of my practice is in response to her being so selfless. I actually think that, like, because she set up my life to have more access to things, that I want to take advantage of that and go for like my dreams and do the things that like she wanted to do but didn't have like time to, you know?
Yeah. Relating to parents, you know, it's the home life, and just in that space, being in that space with your parents' home. What does the concept of home mean to you? And how do you translate that into your art?
So home to me, I think, is like, home means, this is a bit of a complicated answer. Okay. For me, home is more of like a mindset, and I find home within other people and things rather than like a place.
Yeah.
And not within like my blood family, actually. Home to me is like a place where you feel like you can be taken care of, and you can also give and nourish like your environment.
Different than what I've heard from like anybody else. People like usually talk about their experience at home inspiring them, but that was a really unique answer. So as far as your work, food and design are elements that are like central to your work, from what I've noticed from doing research. And I wanted to ask, like, why? Like, why is that significant, and how do they interplay in your creative process?
Yeah, that's a fun question. Well, design for one, because design is like a thought process, and it's like a set of rules, right? And it's like a logic as well. So the way that I like to approach things that I create, I typically want to set up a structure so that I know what boundaries am I pushing, and then kind of go beyond that. With food, that's just like my life source. It's my favorite way to like experience life. It's my favorite way to like share time with people. And food is also like, there's science to it. There's like a visual art to it, and there's also taste. Like, that's the best part, you know? So I feel like it's kind of, it's a thing that can also be seen as like really cheap, like street food, or it's a thing that can be seen as like really extravagant, like a prefix menu at like a Michelin star restaurant. And I like that there's flexibility to that. And I kind of see like myself that way and my art that way too, that it's like accessible to people of all backgrounds, because it's like I'll incorporate elements that feel more refined, but then I'll also include elements that feel nostalgic and from like like truly humble beginnings, you know, which I think I'm still a part of.
Wow. Okay. So with that, you use multiple ways of expression when it comes to displaying, you know, the elements of food and design. If you had you worked across multiple disciplines, you know, experience, creative and direction, visual art, and even graphic, from what I've noticed from research. And how do you decide like which medium best suits a particular idea?
I think about this all the time. And it's actually like, sometimes I have to rein it back for the sake of time and like, you know, my own capacity and other like my like collaborators' capacities as well. It starts with the feeling, and it starts with like, what is the experience that I'm trying to evoke and like guide people through. If you know what feeling you're trying to pull from people, then I think it's a lot easier to know what mediums to express that through. So, for example, if you want to create connection with people, then it's like creating an event and it's bringing people together. If you want, but like going a step further too, like in that event, what are you setting up? Like, what sort of programming, what sort of like visual environment are you setting up so that people can actually like immerse themselves into that mindset that you want them to be in? It's sort of like priming someone for a conversation, you know?
Yeah. So one of the projects that you worked on was, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Apologies. Yang Shang?
养生
Yanshan.
养生
Yanshan.
yeah
Okay. Apologies.
no it's cool it's cool.
But how did that begin, and what was like the vision behind it?
It actually started off as like a fun side quest
Yeah.
that my co-founder Steph hit me up about.
Yeah.
This was, we started ideating in October of 2022
Okay.
and started actually taking notes in 2023, and then we launched in the beginning of last year, 2024.
Why did you choose like an editorial like fashion lens to reimagine Chinese and like Taiwanese traditions?
I mean, we just love clothes.
Mhm.
Like we love to like just dress up and like be fly, you know. And actually the way that Yangsheng started was like we were having dinner parties with a lot of our girlfriends, and we wanted to take photos and document them because
Yeah.
that's what we were doing already.
Uh-huh.
But we're thinking like, how can we present this in a way that feels more intentional?
Yeah.
So why don't we do like a photo series?
Uh-huh.
And then that grew into like an idea for a zine, and then that grew into idea for like printing an actual art book.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that. I
Yeah,
did not know that. So,
very organic.
yeah, very. It sounds like it was very organic. I feel like that doesn't happen a lot out here nowadays. I feel like everything is kind of like very, like people want to leech and like gain something from one another in the art scene out here. So like, it sounds, and I'm happy that it worked out like that, like an organic way, because you don't hear that often.
Yeah.
So
there's actually, can I say more about this too?
yeah, go ahead.
With Yangsheng, our intention was to actually, because we were already doing these things, so it's like, why would you want to give yourself more work, right?
Yeah.
Our intention was to connect our friends who felt like they couldn't call themselves artists to people who are already doing the thing.
Mhm.
So the way it works is like, a lot of our productions, we actually have a mix of people from all different experience levels. We have people who are like being on a film set for the very first time, have never modeled, have never like actually done any set design, but they'll be assisting someone who does that professionally. And that's the goal, is to like open up doors for people and make it feel like creativity is not out of reach. Because
Yeah.
really it's just like you're asking your neighbor, you know?
Yeah. So how do you approach like creating like immersive like fine art experiences that engages like audiences like deeply? Like how do you go about that?
Like what's my process? Or
Yeah, I guess that's like it's a more like, yeah, now that I'm reading the question, it's just a more like more in-depth way of asking like what's your process behind Yanshin?
Like with a lot of people, it kind of starts with like wanting to create something that you haven't necessarily experienced yourself, or it's inspired by something that you saw and then you're like, oh my God, that's so dope.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that, but with like another idea at the center of it. As far as like actually the execution goes, I like to think about the 5 human senses. You know, how are people experiencing this? First, you see things, right? If you're lucky enough. And so that's why visual art is like a really big component to it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like if you're just going into an art gallery and looking at things, there can be like a disconnect.
Yeah.
You know? So that's where like the experience programming comes into play, like giving people an activity or like food to eat or like something to drink.
Yeah. With that, have there been any moments of doubt or obstacles in your journey so far?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time. What do people usually say in response to that question?
Well, this is the first time I'm asking it. So
Oh wow. That's funny, cuz like yeah, I think a lot of it actually stems from fear of like investing in something and not seeing the results that you want to get out of it. But at the same time, like it's a practice in trusting, in having faith in yourself.
Yeah.
And also knowing yourself.
Oh.
So I think that's like my antidote to feeling that insecurity. And also that it's really normal. And you know what? I feel like it's actually a sign that like if you feel a little uncertainty, that means you're doing something right, because you're doing something for the first time or it's new. Even if you've done a photo shoot before, maybe it's at a different capacity or with like a bigger brand or something, you know, so it's normal to feel nervous.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine to feel nervous too.
That was kind of my mindset going into this.
Really?
At first, like, because I've never, like, I'm not usually on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but Marked on High, they were like, bro, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna like regret it if you don't, you know? So, so far, I've been enjoying it. So yeah, I completely understand and I feel you on that.
That's so interesting that they said that like you would regret it if you don't.
Well, it's just, you know, if you want to grow, you got to put yourself in like uncomfortable positions. You have
Right.
to, you know.
Right.
So, going back to the topic, have you ever had to address like any misconceptions about Chinese or like Taiwanese traditions in your work or in general to people?
I don't think we have enough visibility to do that yet. Fortunately, Yangsheng has engaged people who have like an appetite for art and a space where like you're kind of the black sheep in your immigrant family.
Yeah.
Where like your parents emotionally like do not understand you because they haven't had the same experiences as you.
Yeah.
So for that reason, if anything, I think it's actually been the opposite effect, where people feel like this gives them a safe space to connect with their heritage without feeling like they have to give up a part of themselves, you know, that's like true to who they are.
So, which project of yours like holds like the most personal like significance to you, and why?
Ooh, I was thinking about this, and while it's really hard to choose, well, okay, there's two.
Mm-hmm.
From my personal portfolio,
Yeah.
there's a project that I haven't released yet and I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Called Fragrant Aliens.
Okay.
And the main motif, visual motif, is orchids, because they look like extraterrestrial and they also look very raw and vulnerable and like exposed. And Fragrant Aliens is a multimedia exploration of how relationships can feel.
Mm-hmm.
All types of relationships, like friendships, breakups, romantic, family. It's a lot of like hard conversations, you know, but yeah, so that's one of them. And then for Yangsheng, my favorite project so far has been our Lunar New Year party from 2024.
Okay. All right. Along with the orchid,
Yeah.
do you have like a favorite flower? Is that your favorite flower?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to ask.
Hands down.
Had to ask.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans besides like the party for Lunar New Year's? Like, is there anything else maybe beyond that you have planned?
For fun?
Yeah.
Ooh. I guess it's kind of unrelated, but I sort of see it as like a gift from the universe.
Okay.
Because I believe in serendipity a lot. Like I believe, are you familiar with serendipity?
I've seen the word.
Okay. Do you know what it means?
No, I don't.
Can I
yeah,
teach you?
Yeah, feel free. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Right. So serendipity means like fateful happenings, you know. And there's a Chinese phrase called yuan fen,
Mm-hmm.
which is like part of my Chinese name, and it means like the fateful intersections of two souls meeting. So it's very like meant to be. There's a reason for it. That being said, I was asked to walk 2 different fashion shows within like the Lunar New Year span this
Mm-hmm.
year. And this happened within like the last month.
Yeah.
So that kind of feels like a form of a red envelope from the universe.
Remind me, or correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
have you ever walked in, like, have you ever done fashion shows before?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Okay. What was that like?
Oh my God, my knees were shaking. I like couldn't stop jumping because there was just so much adrenaline pumping through my body. I did it for this designer. His name is Andre. He's so sick.
Mm-hmm.
He created like a custom piece for every single one of his models. And the way that he took our measurements was like he measured manually with like, you know, tape and then put it into like a 3D modeling system. So
Mhm.
instead of doing it like traditionally with like paper patterns and stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
so he created this dress that had a hood on it and also had like a 3D printed like spine and tail.
Hmm.
The spine was never fully finished for the show, but it was like pretty sick. It was fun.
Have you ever been to like a New York Fashion Week show before? Like one of those like actual
No,
like runway shows?
I
No,
haven't. Have you?
no. I want to go.
Yeah,
I definitely want to go New York. Make
yeah,
some like connections for
yeah,
sure. Because New York is a spot for connections.
yeah.
But
What do
yeah,
you want to like? What sort of connections are you looking for?
I think like marketing people who are in charge of like marketing for like these brands.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is that where you want to work?
not where I want to work, but I want to be. I definitely want to do marketing for like a clothing company.
Fire.
That's what I would want to do.
Okay. Maybe for Pharrell one day.
I mean, oh, shit. We'll see. We'll see. We'll put it out there.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
put it
yeah.
out there. Do you want to do like any work for any like inspiration of yours? Like,
Oh my God, I would love to have a collection with Nike.
okay.
One of my actually, sorry, going back to the other question, if you want
Yeah.
to like sort of like
No,
splice this
it's
in
cool.
different
Yeah.
order.
No, this is conversation.
Okay. One of my biggest inspirations is Yoon Ambush.
Uh huh.
Are you familiar
Okay.
with
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
brand?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. She's like done a couple of different things with Nike, and I love the shoots. I love her jewelry and just like all around. So that's kind of what I'm working towards, is like working with brands to create like my own capsule collections, but have access to like their designers and stuff.
Do you feel like there's a lack of women in the scene, in the art scene?
Oh my God, are you kidding? I feel like, I don't know if this is like good to say on camera, but
Say it.
I feel like every time, Renee, let me think about how to word this because I'm not trying to like come across like cocky or something. But yeah, I wish that, okay, I'll say this. I wish that when I meet people that they would treat me like an artist first and not like a woman first. In the way that I dress, because I like to be expressive. You know, I like to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think people will take that as like an invitation to hit on me rather than get to know me as a friend.
That is, I see that so much.
Yeah.
So often. I have a couple of homies that tell me all the time that like people in the scene hit on them first instead of getting to know them.
Yeah.
Type shit. So yeah, it's, I don't know, definitely needs to change for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like that answer because I'm glad I'm gonna leave it in there because like it needs to be heard. You have to call these people out, these fucking weirdos out. You have to call them out, dude. So
Okay, but here's the thing: is like I want to go on dates too. So it makes it tricky because it's like okay, you know what? Just this, like treat someone like approach them like a friend first, and then if you have that connection, go for it. But like if you're gonna approach someone with that intention, you're probably not gonna be received very well.
almost like a don't even bother at all
Yeah.
type of situation.
Yeah.
Okay. You hear that? Watching. Okay, so back to your projects.
Yeah.
As far as like the next phase, like what other directions or projects are you excited to explore that you maybe haven't yet?
Ooh, this year I want to make furniture
Oh.
and
cool.
fragrances
Why?
and lamps.
I'm curious why.
Because I'm familiar with food, although I would love to do a Yangsheng supper party soon.
Okay.
I have a couple chefs in mind too, and they know who they are. We've done food, we do fashion, and we do visual art, you know, but like I think what's missing is for there to be things for people to sit on. And it'd be cool to make them and model them after like Taiwanese furniture.
Mm-hmm. That'd be dope. That would be really cool. I feel like I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. No, you got to put me on because I've never seen like Taiwanese like furniture before. So.
Oh, it's decadent.
For real?
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta see it.
It has a regal feeling to it.
Okay. What about color? Like, what's the coloring like? Is it very like earth tony, dark tony? Like, how would you describe like the coloring of most of the furniture that you see?
So traditionally, like a lot of Chinese furniture is like dark wood
Yeah.
and it's lacquered, so it's glossy.
Oh, okay.
But I personally prefer birch. So
Okay.
I really like light tone things.
Yeah.
Because it brightens up a space. So even if you have a small room, it feels more expansive. Something dark will like kind of shrink it visually, in my opinion.
Okay.
So in that way, that's what makes it feel Asian American to me, is that practicing like the Taiwanese design principles, but combining it with something that's more Western as well.
Okay. All right. So with that, in your future, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Probably another dog. Should probably have another pit bull.
Okay.
I'd like to live in a couple different international cities by then, or have like long, like 3-month stints in different cities, with like the Bay Area still being my home base.
Okay.
But I think by then, what I really want the most is to have more meaningful friendships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not really career related.
With people around you and you working with so many people, from anybody, what's a piece of advice or wisdom that you've carried with you throughout your life in general?
There's a couple.
List them. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, Google it.
Okay.
Like look it up.
Yep.
It was delivered in a really brutal way. Let it go. Like let bygones be bygones.
Yeah.
And the third one is actually advice that I kind of impose upon myself every day, is like, just ask the question. What's gonna come out of it?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's the worst thing that could happen. Be brave.
Honestly, like that's like kind of how I really relate to the last one.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna sound really dark, but like sometimes
I want to hear it.
I'd be like, whenever I'm about to do something or I have an idea, I always say to myself, like, I don't want to be on my deathbed, like regretting that I didn't do this certain idea, take that chance on that one girl. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I want to live, or that's how I live right now. So I really like that last one. It's true. Like,
aww.
You don't want to.
High five.
Oh, high five. Like trusty ass man.
Same.
Okay, so as far as like a legacy, I mean, you've been building one. It seems like you've been building a really solid foundation for yourself.
That's so kind. Thank you.
What message or feelings do you have, or do you hope that your work leaves behind for future generations?
It kind of all centers around it centers around the mindset of like anything is possible as long as you have the audacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
But then that does branch out into other things too.
Yeah.
It comes with a set of like morals, such as like taking care of the people around you and taking care of your environment. And to not be the first person to tell yourself no. I think a lot of people do that.
All right. So with that, we are not done yet. We're not done yet, but we are first place. And with that, we're going to be asking you some questions about just general stuff related to racing or cars. All right.
Okay.
So if you could have a dream, like 3-car garage, like what would those 3 be?
Ooh. My answer is going to be pretty basic, okay?
Yeah.
Because my knowledge is limited. She wants to be in it too. Low-key, I want a Prius.
Okay.
I want a red Prius.
All right.
And I want a t-shirt that says I love my Prius.
Okay.
Because my friend Emily makes them.
All right.
For fun. Would love a blue S2000 because that's like a very nostalgic car to me. And I also want a truck, like a pickup truck.
Okay.
Like a white pickup truck.
Yeah. That's like...
Because I be hauling shit, you know?
That's a realistic ass answer. I've been getting like I want a Hellcat, I want a Ferrari, I want but that's that's a super realistic 3 cards. Yeah, that's super valid. Super valid.
Thank you.
By any chance, did you play like any racing games growing up?
Oh my god, no. Only
No?
on like grass.
Okay.
But last year during Christmas, I did play like the I don't remember what it's called. You know that game where you're like in a model like Porsche and it's like a video game?
like a wheel and everything.
Yeah.
Like a model Porsche.
Or maybe it's not a Porsche, but it's like
F1.
Yeah.
You were playing like the actual wheel.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
That's pretty fun.
Did it have like force? Do you know force feedback where like you actually feel like the wheel?
Yes.
Yeah, it had that. Okay.
Yeah. It felt pretty realistic.
Yeah. Cool. Very last question. Why do you deserve to be in first place?
Because you asked me to. No, I'm kidding. Because I got the invitation.
Wow.
I think big and I dream big. And I care a lot too. So, okay, like encapsulating my answer, like I think I deserve to be in first place because I dream big and I love big and I care.
Solid. Simple. Straight to the point. Okay, so last thing. I do this at the very end. What you rocking today? What's the fit check?
Oh!
Throw the fit. What's the fit? Let us know.
A little simple something. I guess I could go from top down. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So, I'm wearing these like handmade pearl earrings, and the pearls are sourced from the Bay, but the designer is based in LA. I have my dad's engagement ring on. This like little teddy bear ring from Chop Suey, a quail egg ring by Eno Jewelry from Tutu in Oakland. My top is by a Korean designer whose name escapes me, but also from Tutu. These pants are Yat Pit, so they're designed in Hong Kong. This jacket is unfortunately from Urban Outfitters.
It's all good.
And the shoes are by Angel Chen.
Dope.
Yeah.
Tough fit.
Thank you.
Tough fit.
I'm actually really warm too, so.
You looked warm. I'm
It's
low-key
functional.
like freezing here. I'm low-key freezing here.
You want my jacket?
No, I should have grabbed mine, but I came with a really simple fit today.
Yeah, what are you wearing?
I'm rocking double tap Vans. These are like an old pair, like from their collaboration back in like 2010s.
It looks like you take care of them well.
I found them at 2nd Street.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, they had a price tag for like $40.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way I'm paying 40 for this. So I asked the manager, like, bro, can you do like 20? And he was like, yeah, they've been sitting here for a while. I got you.
You negotiated a 2nd Street? It's crazy.
Yeah, if you're cool with the manager, like, because they control it, so it's cool.
Right.
Rocking a pair of black Dickies, simple.
Classic.
I'm wearing a CDG crew neck. There's a back hit on the back. You can't see it, but
it's a nice color.
And then a New York fitted, and that's it. That's my fit.
Fire.
So thank you, Hannah, for stopping by today. It was really great to have you here. I wish nothing but the best for you and your career, your future. So thank you for stopping by, and thank you to watching First Place. Any last words? Shout out your Instagram, whatever you want to say. Let them know.
Yes.
This camera right here.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Renee, for inviting me and having me. I'm like really honored to be like the first like woman that you're in conversation with. It really meant a lot, and your questions feel like you really care, and I appreciate the research you put into it. My artist Instagram is Taiwanese Noodles, and my art brand is called Yangsheng, and that's spelled ITSYANGSHENG. So check us out. We're doing a Lunar New Year party in downtown Oakland. It's gonna be a fun time.
There we go.